My first guest tonight is a man, one of many, who were made famous by the trial of the century. Kato Kaelin was O.J. Simpson's house guest on the night of the murders and a key prosecution witness. Today, he issued the following video statement.
I've been asked to comment on the death of O.J. Simpson. Foremost, I'd like to express my condolences to the children, to Sydney and to Justin, to Jason and Arnell. They lost their father, and that is never easy. I wish to express my love and compassion to the Goldmans, to Fred and to Kim. I hope you find closure. And finally, to the family of the beautiful Nicole Brown Simpson. May we always cherish her memories. Nicole was a beacon of light that burned bright. May we never forget her.
And Kato Kaelin is kind enough to join me live now in this NewsNation exclusive. Kato, it's good to see you again. Thank you so much for agreeing to be on the program tonight.
Hello.
It's such a weird question to say, how are you doing, you know, especially today, but I do want to know how this news hit you this morning.
Well, listening to your monologue, which was so eloquent, and I have to tell you that I'm sitting in this chair, and you took me like in a time machine back, and honestly, so many emotions were just brewing inside me, and it brought me back to 1994 and 95. And as far as this morning goes, I got up this morning and just saw over 100 messages, and immediately in my head I just said someone died. And after looking at the news stories, I saw that it was O.J. Simpson. And I wasn't going to do any sort of statement. And I just had I was inundated with so many things. I said the best thing I could do is to sit down in my own feelings and give it some time and to express what you just played on your show. And it's true. And you know what? I think of the Browns family and Fred and Kim Goldman, and I don't think there ever will be closure because of what you said. I mean, there's closure because he's dead, but they live it every day. They miss their son, and the Browns miss their daughter. It's and of course Kim misses her brother, but there's closure, but it goes on forever. There never really will be. They can't be brought back to life.
Well, you know what? It was really gracious and eloquent of you to put out that statement that strictly addressed those who have been so deeply affected, including OJ's kids, because some people might forget they lost their mother in a gruesome murder, and they have dealt with the aftermath of what the OJ image, has become, who is the only parent they had left. How have you been able to process? Have you ever had any connection to any of these players since the trial?
Actually, after the trial happened, I made a sort of an oath to myself. I wanted to move forward because that's just really a dark period. And you know me somewhat. I'm really about light and laughter, and that part I wanted to be past. There's nothing I could do about the past. Everything I was doing had to be present. I can always work that and make my future better, make future better for everybody else. So that's what I focused on, and I didn't go past. I mean, I had some messages from Tanya on Facebook, Tanya Brown. I did Kim's podcast, and so those parts I did. It was cathartic for me, but everything else I'm doing is just to make things better, not just for myself, for other people in my life. And I've lived by the motto since being raised by my beautiful parents in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Large family is always pay it forward and make life better for the next person. And I believe in that. I do that every moment.
It's when we were going over those materials at the beginning of the show, it really does sort of catapult you back, but it's still hard to believe 29 years, right? Like, that is just a lifetime. And so many of the people I work with weren't alive for this. I really wonder how, because, back then we didn't talk about PTSD, right? We just didn't. It wasn't a thing. Now it is. Do you think that you suffered from PTSD? Do you have a place in your contemplation today where you have to really address what you went through and how it completely overturned your life?
I'll tell you the truth. I'm blessed that I have the best friends in the world, the best family in the world, because when you have that backing, you can conquer anything, and they not only keep you humble, but they're their word, their guidance, make things A-okay. You know, Ashleigh, you think about the trial. It's going on 30 years, what happened, and I really believe that it will go on forever, long before I'm passed, because it's a template of that trial, and everything's going to be compared to that trial. I mean, you had ESPN doing an Oscar-winning documentary. You had a show with Ryan Murphy producing that won 8 Emmys, and it's all about this trial, and every trial will be compared to that one. And like I said, it's never going to end. It'll go on forever. But as far as the PTSD, no suffering at all.
I'm so glad to hear that, because, you know, when a horrible crime happens, there is a reverberation, a huge ripple effect on so many people, not just those who are close in the family, but others, friends, associates, those who are swept up, were in the wrong place at the wrong time. And there's no more example of that than this trial. People had no idea what was coming their way. And I know that you've said before you believe O.J. was guilty. I think you also said that he would never confess, not even on his deathbed, and that's where we are. So I suppose you're not surprised that we've landed on this day, this way.
Well, I believe in God, I believe in heaven, and I sure hope I end up there, even if it's a guest house up there. But I hope I end up in heaven. And I don't know if he had that moment of penance where you had that saying in your last moments on your deathbed. But I doubt it. I don't know. I just think, boy, I would think a person has to make peace with their maker. So I'm pretty sure that he kept everything until the day he died, and only he knows.
How do you think O.J. Simpson will be remembered, given the extraordinary fissure in society, mostly along racial lines, when the verdict came down, and then the 29 years since, and all the behaviors we've seen him display?
Well, the point you're saying is terrific, because of the Simpson trial, of the verdict, we had split screens of white and black reactions, and we all saw it. It was played over and over on TVs, 150 million people, and it was repetition, and that just brought us so far back as a society, and we've never recovered. And then we had the George Floyd situation, and it got even worse, and it's on that way. And I live in LA, and I got to tell you, LA, crime is accepted. You can shoplift up to $850 and not be arrested. And if it's acceptable to have crime, there's going to be more and more criminals. And it'll never be fixed, and we're going to continue to be backward as a society. And I really believe that split screen, everything, made society worse for what it is today.
Listen, I can't thank you enough for deciding to do this interview. If our audience doesn't know this, it was really hard to book you. Even though we've become friendly, you didn't want to do TV interviews. You weren't interested in that kind of thing. And so I'm very thankful that you chose us to do this, Kato. Thank you, and God bless you as you progress in the rest of your life.
I really appreciate it from my heart, and thank you all. And remember, it's really about 2 young people that lost their lives.
Yeah, no kidding. Hard to believe 29 years ago. Kato, thank you again.
Wow. Thank you, Ashleigh.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.